Did I have severe cramps that kept me up all night and then call in sick to work today and then spend the entire day sleeping instead of reading? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Hello, my dudes. My name is Steph, and I thought it was about time for a book haul. There is no rhyme, there is no reason. We're just gonna jump into these books, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, like 95% of these are from Amazon. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the first one is The Night House by Jo Nesbø. I heard great things about this book and this author. I still have, is it The Snowman? I think I've got The Snowman by this author that I want to read first. That some booktuber recommended some number of years ago. No idea what this is about, but I thought the cover was really cool, and now I've heard not so good things about it. I've heard that it's like kind of boring and like doesn't do much for people, so good job purchasing things. Really glad that I did that. Okay, next I picked up Funny Feelings. This book just seems really cute about a up-and-coming stand-up comic and her single dad manager, so it's kind of like a forbidden romance, I guess, and I think there's a bit of an age gap as well. I don't know why, but this book just gives me fun feelings. It just makes me happy looking at the cover, so I hope the insides match the outsides. Then I've got two books in a series that I had never intended to actually start. I didn't think this series would be for me, but then I've seen a lot of people say that they didn't think this series was for them, and then they read the series and fell in love with it, and to me that sounds like a ringing endorsement. So I picked up Flawless and Heartless by Elsie Silver. These books are part of the, I don't know what part of what series they're a part of, to be honest with you. It doesn't have a series name, but they are all, I'm pretty sure, cowboy romances, which again, this is not a thing that I've read before. It's not a thing I would normally gravitate towards. However, it is not hard to impress me with a romance. Like, as long as the characters are somewhat believable, I'm usually going to enjoy romances. I don't rate romances less than 3 stars unless they're like fucking awful, because I love reading a romance. It does something to my spirit. It reignites a fire in my soul. This book was listed as an Amazon return because it had damage on the cover and it was like half the price it usually is, so I yanked it up. It is Mary by Nat Cassidy. The damage is kind of obvious. You can see like there's creasing here in the bottom corner. I don't know why this book cover just seems like something to do with Elizabeth Bathory, so I thought this was a vampire book. It is definitely not a vampire book. I think it's a serial killer book, to be honest with you, which I'm also okay with, but I have heard that it isn't. It's one of those books where what it's about isn't actually what it's about. It's like subtext is very important. So while it is maybe about serial killing, I think it's also about this woman going through menopause and rediscovering herself as a human. I wouldn't know because I haven't read it yet. Once I do, I will let you guys know. This is another one I wanted for so long, and the price was just like a little bit too high, but eventually I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get it because I want it. And it is A History of Fear by Luke Dumas. This is basically a guy who claims that the devil made him kill somebody, which, if that rings a bell, is the subtitle of the third Conjuring movie, which everyone hated, but I really enjoyed. I love that The Devil Made Me Do It was like a legitimate argument in court at some points, because it kind of, it's basically the same thing as an insanity plea. Like, I physically did it, but there was some other force that made me do it. I love The Devil Made Me Do It plea. I think it's such an interesting bit of history, so I was very excited for this one. Never ended up picking it up, but I will eventually. I hope. If I never pick it up, then I'm gonna be sad because issues. This one I'm pretty sure I got from Big W. It is The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead, which, I mean, I read one of her thrillers. I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, and it was really good, and there was some sort of romance in it that I also really enjoyed, so I'm excited that she's just gone full-blown romance. This might be a fake dating thing. It is. Two people that don't really like each other, photos of them escaping a fire go viral online, and they realize the publicity could be helpful to both of them, so they decide to fake date. As you do. Sign here. This book is like a cozy book about hell, I think. Pei. We are following a demon named Pei who has waited a millennium for whatever to happen to finally hit like his goal of how many souls he's supposed to take. and I guess he's going to target this family that's on summer holiday. So, I don't know, man. Okay, next I've got a horror book. I think it was on the Goodreads Choice Awards list from 2023. It is The Reformatory. So I bought this on Amazon. I did not realize this is quite the thick book. It is at least, it's almost 600, just under 600 pages. I know this is about, obviously, a reformatory. Bunch of naughty teenage boys get sent here and things aren't what they seem. That sounds like a mystery I want to be a part of solving. I also picked up a sequel to a book I have not read yet. You will find that this is a very common occurrence with me. This is how I end up with so many books and so many problems in my life. This is the sequel to A Soul to Keep. It is called A Soul to Heal by Opal Rain. This series follows, I don't even know what these creatures are called. Duskwalkers, who end up with human brides. I don't know these situations, but it's been highly recommended to me, so we bought the second book, even though we haven't read the first, because next I have got another one that I think was on the Amazon Returns. Yeah, there's a little bit of damage. It's called Price of a Kiss by Linda Cage. I'll try it there. Just that little crease in the cover. Now, this may look and seem like a random book. This is not the cover of a book I would gravitate towards. However, when I first started reading, not really adult romance. When I first started reading maybe age gap romances, this book came up at some point as really, really well done. And I remember I had the EPUB on my phone for the longest time. And I knew I was never going to read it. So it was on there, but I knew in my soul, like, it's never going to get read. That's fine. Whatever. Then I saw this on the Amazon Returns page, which I need to do a little scroll through tonight. This, I think, was about $5. And for a book that had been on my TBR for such a long time, I decided I needed to buy it. I should probably tell you what this is about. This is about a woman who's just escaped a super abusive relationship, falls for a guy that, you know, connection is great, there's chemistry, and then she finds out that he's a gigolo. So I guess that's the forbidden aspect to this, or like the reason they can't be together. Next one I have is, I bought it for a specific purpose, okay? I bought it for a reason, and that reason was going to come to fruition, and then I got lazy and completely changed the reading I was going to start this year off with. It is My Boyfriend is a Vampire. It looks like a little bit cheesy, but it also kind of looks like a lot of fun, and it is exactly what it sounds like. This girl goes to college, meets this guy that she's really into. It turns out he's a vampire. And this book just, I was going to do, spoiler alert, because I don't know if it's ever going to happen, I was going to do a like month-long reading challenge of just reading vampire books, because that is where my roots in reading lie. I was always the vampire girl. Even as a kid watching movies, I was like, I'm not going to get into it. Basically, what I'm going to say is vampires were always a big part of my life pre-Twilight and post-Twilight, but pre-Twilight. I was watching Interview with a Vampire when I was a baby, okay? Loved vampires. And I really wanted to, I feel like vampires are kind of making a bit of a resurgence. Like, I've got quite a few recent releases that are vampire books, and I thought it would be interesting to spend a whole month reading vampire books and seeing how they've changed from what I grew up with, etc, etc. And I just realized, like, there was too many vampire books, and it got very overwhelming, so I ended up reading none of them. And I've decided on a different, it's not even a month TBR, it is a full-blown challenge that you guys will eventually see on this channel. It is a work in progress, and when I say work in progress, I mean I'm about 1/12 of the way through. So, yeah, but I bought that book for a purpose, and I have not needed to read it yet. So we'll see if that video ever comes out. If it does, you guys have a cute little spoiler. Another one that was, I don't think this was an Amazon return. It is called I'm Not So Over You. This book, I always wanted to get it because of the cover. I think it's pretty recent, like it might have only just come out last year. And immediately on my TBR, it is exes, kind of a second chance romance where they pretend to still be together for the sake of like one of their parents or one of their families. And this book, brand new, was on Amazon for $3. $3. I don't know if it was a Boxing Day deal. I have no idea if it was a deal, like some specific sale, or if that's just how much it's retailing for, but it gave me weird vibes purchasing it for $3. I'm like, this can't be right, this book must be absolutely terrible. But your girl likes fake dating, so I guess we shall wait and see. Like all of these books, I'm also not hauling anything I've read because I haven't read anything that I've bought recently. Wow, I just had that realization, like, the correlation, it goes both ways, like, yikes. Okay, next is A Familiar Stranger by A.R. Torr. She wrote a series I really enjoyed. It was about the girl in 6E, and it was a vibe. And since then I've tried to read some of her other books to kind of see if I like her style. So I've read The Ghostwriter, The Girl in 6E, Do Not Disturb If You Dare. And possibly I've either read or own one more by her. But since The Girl in 6E, I just haven't found her, like, a book of hers that I really enjoy. Like, The Ghostwriter, it was kind of good, but mostly it was just depressing. Like, The Girl in 6E, it had its sad and it had its depraved moments, but it wasn't a depressing book. The Ghostwriter actually just made me genuinely sad the whole way through, and it was very, like, a very hopeless feeling. This looks more like a thriller. Look, it seems like it's about a woman that has an affair, so that sounds thrillery, because that's definitely not a romance. Because romances with affairs are not a good vibe for me. I think they're not great. Anyway, next we've got The Resting Place by Camilla Sten. This is the follow-up to The Lost Village, which was one of my favorite books of last year. So this is the same author. Obviously it is translated like The Lost Village. This one also sounded really interesting, and I don't remember what it's about. Oh, it's about a woman who doesn't have the ability to recognize people's faces. I have read a couple of books with that same disorder, I guess, same diagnosis, where, like, you can see a person every day for your entire life, but you will never recognize their facial features. Like, you might recognize their voice, or you might know that, oh, that must be my mum because she's really short, or that must be my brother because he's wearing his Mario t-shirt, but, like, you don't recognize people's faces. Like, you can look at it and acknowledge it, and as soon as that person turns around and then looks back at you, you can't recognize them as that person. So it's about a woman who has this diagnosis and walks in on her great aunt being murdered. But is she going to be able to recognize the killer? Is she going to be able to describe the killer? No, she's not. It is a very fascinating concept, and I am here for it. Obviously not that here for it because I haven't read it yet, but I will one day. Next, I have got Ruthless Vows, which is the sequel to Divine Rivals. Have I read Divine Rivals? I haven't, but I have not heard anyone shut up about this fucking duology. So I bought them both. All I know is history, war, maybe fantasy, romance that starts by writing letters to each other. It doesn't seem like my vibe. It genuinely, it could not be further away from what I like to read. However, sometimes the general public is correct, so I'm trusting them on this one. Fingers crossed. Fingers and toes, love. Next, I have a novella that I read ages ago, and I really wanted to get, but I hated the cover that it used to have. And then one day on Amazon, I discovered it had a new cover, and I decided that it was my time to shine. It is called This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. I don't know how to pronounce words that have 3 vowels in a row. I'm a stupid white girl. This book, I don't know, look, I'm gonna say this as nicely, but also as honestly as I can. I related to a lot of things that were happening in this book, but not in a current, like, I relate because that's currently happening to me, more so in a, I relate because I can see my future being like this. It's a horror book. It is about a woman who has a very strained relationship with her mother, but she decides to go and spend, I think it's a weekend, with her mum and try and ease the strain between them. Not necessarily to rebuild their entire relationship, but at least to ease the push and pull of their relationship. And things get hectic because it is a horror book set in the snow. So yeah, I related to it in a way that, like, I could feel what the main character was feeling, and I can imagine myself being in the main character's shoes, and it hit me a little bit harder than most horrors do. Not like in a triggering way, just it actually, like, hit my heart a little bit deeper than most horrors do. And I know it's kind of hard to tell because glare and the bright blue was a weird choice, but I mean, if that isn't just full stop. Next, I have got a kind of saucy looking one. It is called Blood Moon by Gillian Graves. This is a novella between a novella which focuses on a relationship between a witch and a vampire. Again, I told you I was going to go through a whole vampire reading vlog, which didn't happen, but this was going to be one of those books featured. I think this is a novella that is a spin-off of an actual series, and I definitely was not dedicated enough to read the full series just to read this little novella. So I just got the novella by itself, as you do. Another one that's attributed to my vampire idea is The Vampire in the Bookstore. I literally just typed in vampire books into Amazon, and like it came up with books that just have the word vampire in the title, but they are about vampires, they're relevant, and this looks like such a fun time. Basically, our bookshop keeper has a favorite author, and one day this guy comes into the store and she realizes, holy shit, that is my favorite author, but she doesn't know he's also a vampire. It is like every trope I would want in a book. So here we are. We're excited. We're not going to read it anytime soon, but we are definitely excited. Then I decided I was going to start purchasing books in a series. I have started this series, but I decided that instead of reading the book on like Kindle and then buying the physical book, I was just going to go balls to the walls and buy the physical books. So the first book in the series that I read was called Stalked by the Kraken, and again, I didn't want to purchase the original cover because it just had a like, I'm not gonna call her a weird lady. It had a lady's face like here, and it wasn't a vibe. So they came up with this new cover, which is really, really beautiful. So I decided that I was gonna purchase the physical books after purchasing this one. So this is the first book I read. And then based on the Goodreads order of these books, we then have a novella called Found by the Lake Monster. And then the big book, which a lot of people rave about, is Deceived by the Gargoyles. So I should mention that these books, all follow, for the most part, like humans or witches and some sort of supernatural creature. And I think it is in a world where supernaturals and humans coexist. Like they live amongst each other. It's not like a super big deal. But ours, of course, just all happen to find supernatural creatures to shack up with. And I really, really enjoyed Stalked by the Kraken. It was a fun book. It was a good time. Let's just keep reading the series, I say, as I continue to not read the series. Next, I have got a big book. I feel like this might have been hauled on my channel before. I can't tell you for sure, so we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it again. It is called Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. I can't tell when it's meant to be a J or a H sound. I'm sorry. Hello. What a retro looking cover. This follows a town where they literally live like it's 1994 every day. So this woman goes to this island where I think her son died. She's trying to figure out what's happened, how her son was killed there. But yeah, she goes there and like everyone's acting like it's 1994. Like everyone in this town is still wearing 1994 fashion, and everyone's still talking about O.J. Simpson. Like, can we stop talking about that man? Can we stop giving him attention and pop culture references? Fuck that guy. And it's not like this place is stuck in an actual time loop. Like, hypothetically, if this woman picks up a newspaper that was just delivered to the island, it is going to say 2023. These people are choosing actively to be like, we're still in 1994. It's fine. Society hasn't progressed. Nothing's changed. I'm excited to read it. And then I've got two more from Amazon. I've got more than two more from Amazon. I just picked these two up at the same time. We have got Any Man by Amber Tamblyn, which I feel like it sounds weird to say I'm excited for this book, but I'm excited for this book because we are following a female rapist and all the men she leaves in her wake. Which, what a change of pace. I read basically everything except for historical, and there are so many books I've read where obviously the woman is the victim in a sexual assault situation, and I just think it's so interesting to subvert what we think about when we hear a rape story. And yeah, it follows a bunch of men who have been sexually assaulted by this woman who goes by Maud. It is told in chat rooms, vignettes, diary entries. Like, it is not all I'm not giving you great examples because it's not just all straightforward prose. I'm excited to read it. Excited is the wrong word, but that is what I feel. Next I have got one that is just, I bought this solely because it was so beautiful. It is called Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. This follows, it's basically a like super codependent relationship that takes on a horrific turn at some point. They're my vibes. Next, I have one that I bought solely for the Book Talk hype. Did not realize that this book was 700 pages. It is called Pucking Around by Emily Rath? Yes, sure. This is a 700-page romance, guys. I'm not trying to be rude. I hope well, I'm gonna explain myself, right? I feel like the general massive people that read books aren't signing themselves up for a book that's over 400 pages. Myself included. If I pick up a 600-page book, 700-page book, it is gonna be something fucking special. You know, like it needs to be A Little Life or, I don't know, the fucking Bible. This romance for 700 pages, that should be the best romance I have ever read. That's all I'm saying. It's a hockey romance. It might be a threesome situation. I don't know, because I haven't read it yet. You're picking up on the pattern here. I've got 2 more books from Amazon that were damaged. So we've got The Love Con by Ceresia Glass, and there is that damage there, just a crease. It is about a convention. I'm pretty sure it's about 2 friends. One of them is into cosplaying, the other isn't, but they go to a convention where there is like a couple entry, and I think the girl, Kenya, really wants to participate, and her friend has to be her fake boyfriend for this competition so she can get him all cosplayed up, and it sounds adorable. Next we have got Tilly in Technicolor by Maisie Eddings. She has got a couple of other books on my shelves. Does she? Am I lying? Who's this by? Oh, A Brush with Love. I own A Brush with Love. The damage on this book is actually, I think you can see there's some black stains on the pages. Oh, maybe not on the bottom, mainly on the top. Which they just look like ink's accidentally been smeared on those pages. Honestly, I'm considering getting the finest little sandpaper and just sandpapering those off. And I'm pretty sure this follows a girl who is, I don't know, all over the place, doesn't really know what she's doing, doesn't make plans, and a guy who is on the spectrum and keeps everything very ordered, and the way that he likes them. And romance. There is this, I'm going to show you guys. That is my trash corner. First of all, here is half of the stack of books that I've gone through. It's a precarious stack and it's going to fall over very shortly. I've got 3 more books from Amazon that I actually received yesterday. So we have got the 6th book in the Dark Olympus series, which is Midnight Ruin by Katie Robert. This one follows Orpheus and Eurydice, but there is another character in here, Charon. It's the ferryman, Hades ferryman. I'm not entirely sure where he's going to fit into this romance, because as far as I know, it is just Orpheus and Eurydice in their myth, but we'll see what happens. Haven't read anything from that series either, but I've read a lot of Katie Roberts, so I've just been purchasing the Dark Olympus books and waiting for a rainy day. Next, I've got Travis by Mia Sheridan. Shout out to my friend Lita. This is Lita. Lita told me that this was a good book, so if I don't like it and it ends up on my worst books of 2024 and she watches the video, she's gonna have to wear it. And I like that when I told her I purchased it, Lita she said, oh, I don't know if you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Lita, I'm gonna like it. It's a romance. This is a spin-off from Archer's Voice, which I bought a Lita a copy of for a birthday last year because I love Archer's Voice. He's just small, precious cinnamon roll. This book follows Travis, who is, I guess, Archer's rival in Archer's Voice. Travis acts like a massive douchebag in Archer's Voice, and this is his redemption book, and apparently it is a good redemption. Like, I've seen other people, not just Lita, online say that, like, you know, this is Travis's redemption and it's really well done. Time will tell if I ever read it. Who knows? I may not. And then the last Amazon book I have is When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. This book is set on a plantation and follows a black woman who has left the small town she grew up in years ago, comes back for her friend's wedding, and I think it has to do with the relationships, and it might be a horror, I'm not entirely sure, but this cover just screams at me in the best way possible. Next, I've got 3 books I purchased from Dymocks in their Boxing Day sales. So FYI, if you live in Australia and Dymocks is just too expensive for you, but they have editions of books you want or whatever, Dymocks every year on Boxing Day, without a doubt, has a 20% off sale. Every year, 20% off everything in store, online and in store. So I bought 3 books this year. So the first one was The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. This is a Christmas novella thriller. I love Peter Swanson. I've read from him many a time before, but I can't read this now because I received it in January after the Christmas season was over. This is gonna have to wait till next year. Don't question my methods. Next, I have got Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This is a thriller. Don't know what it's about, so I bought it anyway. And then the last one is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, which I've wanted to read for the longest time because this seems like the disturbing, disgusting fiction that most people are scared to look at, but I'm like, show me more. This is about a woman who takes explicit photos of average looking men, and I'm pretty sure this gets a little bit pedophilic. I think she starts setting her sights on younger and younger guys. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I remember from when I first picked it up. Then I've got 2 books I received today from World of Books. So we have got Follow Me to the Ground. This is not the cover I wanted, but it is the only cover that was available. It is shiny, but I like the woman face better. I'm always gonna like the woman face, the artistic woman face I should say, better than this. This is all it says on the back. The ground, the long lawn, it gorged on bodies, shaped them to its own liking. The ground is where father and I were born. No idea. This is a part of my reading challenge that I'm filming that you don't know about. And I also received Pine by Francine Toon. Again, another one from World of Books and another one that is part of the secret reading vlog I'm currently working on. This is set in the Highlands, which is a small village surrounded by forest. Something about a woman disappearing, I don't know. And the last book I have to show you is probably the prettiest one, but also not the prettiest one, and I hope you'll see what I mean. It is You Beautiful Thing You by Saffron A. Kent. It is the Fabled edition, and I think, like, just aesthetically, she's beautiful. Like, this is beautiful. The sprayed pages are beautiful, but wait till you look at the actual cover and tell me how hard that is to fucking read. Like, you can see it when it's like that, yeah, but when it's straight up, you cannot read. You can't tell there are words on there. So this dust jacket is never coming off. It lives here rent-free now. I don't know what this book is about. About a 19-year-old who wants a baby and tricks a guy into getting her pregnant. Good choices. Great decisions were made. That is my latest book haul, I suppose. I'm sure there are things I've missed and there are things that I've doubled up on, but I genuinely don't know. I buy so many books. I need to stop that. But like, I buy too many to know for sure which ones I've mentioned on here and which ones I haven't. Anyway, that is the end of this book haul. Hopefully you guys will be patient with this latest reading vlog because, like I said, I'm literally a 12th of the way through it and that's taken me almost a month. So we're not doing great. It could take a whole year. It could take a whole year. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.